Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming and tuning in to our first webinar tonight. We're so excited. We were going online earlier, like 20 minutes ago, making sure that we could get all of this up and running. And technology is super cool, but you got to know how to use it, right? So it's always super interesting to see how this stuff works. So thank you for joining us and being a part of our first webinar. We plan on giving some amazing value added things this year for everybody, from tonight going over winter essentials and what you need to keep in your cabinet for the winter, all the way to talking about genetic testing and us going over questions that you might have on the different genetic SNPs, to what to do about different microbiome imbalances. We're just going to get together and we're going to collaborate, and I'm going to spend this extra time talking with you guys this year on these webinars about health hacks, things that you can do to actually keep yourself optimized and keep yourself healthy. So with many of you, I've done a lot of work to get you there, but this is constant work. It's not a work with me for 6 months and be done. You are a kinetic, dynamic human being. And just like a house or a car, we take even more maintenance than those mechanical machines do. So please chime in the notes and tell us who all is here tonight watching and where are you from. We should have a chat box that you can go ahead and let us know that you're watching. Let us know where you're from. Let us know who you are. We're so excited to hear from you. Who do we got here? Hey, Greg. Coming in. Awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. And who else do we have? Tori. Hey, Tori. Thanks a lot. It's so good to see you. I can't wait for those of you attending to get to meet Dr. Tori. She comes to us from California, and she is joining us as one of our health coaches. And she has an amazing story. She actually struggled with Lyme's disease. And it was through her struggle with Lyme's disease that she has now joined us, because she has learned how to heal from that terrible issue that she had with her Lyme's disease, and now she's doing much better, and she wants to turn around and help the rest of the world. So Tori will be joining us. She actually has joined us starting this month. We're getting ready to launch our new website in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so please stay tuned for that. Stay on the mark and watch for that. It's going to be incredible, and you'll get to see her bio on there. And yeah, she's going to be helping a lot of people with autoimmune issues. So that's going to be awesome. Larissa and Matt, thank you. You guys joined me. Thank you so much. Larissa and Matt, they're from Austin, Texas, and they are just this amazing, powerful couple that have been working with us for a while, and we're so glad to have you. Thank you. Karen from Ventura, California, thank you so much for joining us. I love you. And so thanks for joining us. And like I said, we're so excited. I want to introduce you to Stacy. Let me tell you a little bit about Stacy Loop. So Stacy Loop has turned out to be an amazing friend to me. And she is also an amazing colleague, also in the healing industry. Stacy came to me about 3 years ago, maybe almost 4. It's been a while now. And I'm going to let her tell her story before we get into these winter essential health hacks. And the reason that I have her on as my co-host tonight is because she has so much to offer, and she is a part of our team. And now that we're scaling and we're growing, she is going to be someone who you will have access to for different aspects of your healing journey. And like most of the people who are joining our team, who you will get to meet in the next couple of months when you see our new website launch, she has actually gone through the journey with us and then wanted to collaborate and join us. So, Stacy, please introduce yourself. Tell us about your story. Let everybody know why you're with us tonight, and a little bit about how you went through the journey with us.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I'm coming through loud and clear. I'm so excited to be here tonight, and I love working with Dr. B. Yes, it's been, I think this summer will be 4 years since this little jewel came into my life, and I met Dr. B at a talk at a local place called People's Pharmacy, and the talk was on anxiety and depression. And at the time, my son, who's now almost 18, was 14. He had been diagnosed with sensory processing disorder at the age of 4.5, and I'd been on a long journey with him. My background's in special education, my professional background, and we had gone through occupational therapy, vision therapy, and also alternative education, like a non-traditional school setting, and that was all great, but I realized that there was just something else that needed to change. The internal environment needed to change. So I took Sam to Dr. B, and the magic started to happen. He had to work on leaky gut. He was really struggling with anxiety and attention, so focusing was hard. And slowly, like through doing the blood work, the diet, the supplements, the coaching, your coaching, mom is coaching, and then the genetic work and getting him on the right products and the right support, he's been doing great in school. So that helped. I mean, I quickly saw, I think in about 6 months, I approached you and said, hey, here's what I do. I have a background as a yoga therapist, and how can we work together? Because I want to get the word out about what you do. So that's just a little glimpse into my story as to how I met you. And we started working together in the community. I set up talks for you locally, and now you're on a bigger stage, doing a lot of things virtually, and we've even done some talks together. So we've done 2 talks at the University of Texas, both in 2017 and 2018, for the Social Workers Conference, and our topic was Inner Transformation, a holistic approach for kids with neurological issues. And so I was the mind-body connection person, and you were the gut-brain connection person, and that's been so rewarding and so fun. To share time and share space and share message with you. So I'm always honored to be in your presence.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm always honored to be in your presence. And Sam's doing great, by the way. Like he's rocking it. He's just, when he walks into the room, he lights up the entire room. So that's it. You guys got a chance to meet Stacy, and now you know a little bit about why she's such a huge part of my life and a huge part of my practice. And why you will be seeing much more of her when we start with our launch of our podcast starting in 2019. She will be my co-host, and we're going to have all kinds of exciting topics to talk about. We're going to want to have you, our patients and our clients, the people who have worked with us, to actually come on and talk about your stories and to collaborate with us about the things that you know. Because I think that there's nothing that's more powerful than getting to hear from people who have gone through the process themselves and have been self-educated. We are going to be bringing on, top authors and top people in their respective specialties that are going to be able to give a lot of value. But I really feel at the end of the day that there's nothing more powerful than bringing on the value of having people who have actually walked the journey themselves. And so when we launch our podcast in 2019, we do want you to come to us. If you have something that you want to talk about, something that you have done a lot of research about, that you've actually walked that walk, let us know so that we can get you onto the podcast. So let's move into talking about winter essentials. And thank you so much for attending this. because those of you who have attended this, you're going to thank me later. Trust me. Um, I'm going to teach you some little known hacks tonight about what you can do when you start getting sick. In the wintertime, people start coming down with all kinds of different illnesses, from the flu to the random cold to bronchitis and pneumonia, and sometimes even a combination of these different things, even sinus infection. So like a cold that will end up leading into a sinus infection that will end up leading to then, a bronchitis issue. So you end up sick for 2 months. How many of you are familiar with that? I remember that happening to me years and years ago, where I was sick for almost like 3 months. I just couldn't seem to get over it. It started out as a cold, and then I think I ended up with like the flu for like a week. And then after that, I had like this lingering for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It was like this hacking cough that I just could not get rid of. I had like a low level infection. Didn't know that then, how to do the things that I'm going to teach you tonight. But I know it now. And so I definitely want to share some of these hacks with you. And before we get into talking about some of these hacks, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us tonight. Before we jump into some of these hacks, let me just share with you, I have to tell you guys about what my husband, Greg, experienced while he was traveling this past week. And this will clue you guys in as to, some of the basic stuff, right? Like how important it is to wash your hands, especially when you have been in public and you're not in your own home, okay? So Greg, my husband, he travels to Cincinnati, or he travels to North Carolina every single month for work. So he's a aerospace engineer, he's a rocket scientist, and he's very fortunate that he gets to work from home, but the headquarters are out of state. So he's got to fly for about a week every month out of state. He was coming back from the airport from Cincinnati, and I kid you not, like he actually posted this, and I couldn't believe what he said that he saw. There was a man in the bathroom at the airport. Did you see that post, Stacey? Did you see that post? There was a man at the airport in the bathroom who was standing at the sink, blowing his nose with his hand.
Ooh.
And then rinsing it under the water, like no soap, nothing. And just blowing, rinsing like this. And then he grabs like a paper towel and then walks out of the bathroom. And Greg was absolutely floored. Like his jaw dropped down like to his knees, like, oh my God, what just happened? And he tells me this, and I didn't even know what to say. We like to assume that when we're out and about traveling, right, we always have we protect ourselves. We think when we grab that grocery cart and we're going into the store, right? Or we're going to the airport, or we're going to the mall and we're like opening the door. Like we just think, oh yeah, like everybody's like me, like, they're washing their hands, or it's like whatever.
No.
You have no idea.
No. No.
It's so disgusting. And the guy did it in front of other people. Like he totally, like that's what he does. And so imagine the germs that are flying around, not just through the airport, but everywhere you are. Okay?
Everywhere.
So let's talk about basics of washing your hands first, okay? So when I was going through school, we did this amazing experiment in lab class where we got to walk around so we took several Petri dishes and we walked around the school campus and we swabbed things and we put it on the Petri dish and then we cultured it to see what grew. Oh my God. So I remember culturing from the desktop, where we sit every day. I cultured from the bathroom, the entrance to the bathroom. And of course, a lot of us cultured on the actual toilets because we were thinking, oh my God, there's going to be some nasty stuff growing on there, right? And we cultured from, there was a little restaurant inside of the campus. And there were those hot lights up above that keep the food warm, and you go there and you grab your food and you walk away. And we cultured that. And you would think like, oh, the lights are going to kill the bacteria. I'll talk about that in a minute. And so we walked around and we cultured all just, we grabbed cultures, we grabbed swabs from all different areas. And some of the areas that you would least expect had the worst cultures. Like there was some nasty stuff growing, like staph and strep. And I mean, just nasty, nasty stuff that once we grew it and then we looked at it and analyzed it, we could see what types of bacteria and other diseases were actually growing, things that we were in contact with every day. And let me tell you that desktops were the number one worst. And those of you who have kids, let me tell you, the desktops are the worst, okay? So just be mindful of that. And if you're on this webinar tonight and you're listening, and you go in and you're either still in school or you are going to a co-working space, be sure that you wipe that down. Okay, be sure that you wipe that down because it's very, very dirty. The toilets actually were the least dirty. Yeah, as far as like diseases and nastiness growing on there. But the restaurant, oh my gosh, they hated us for this actually. And I don't know that they allowed the students to come and swab anymore after we did it. Our class like ruined it for them. Nobody was there for like a year. So we swabbed the lights and we swabbed the countertop where they were serving. And we found stuff that would make people sick for weeks. Horrible, horrible bacteria that was growing rampantly. And so my point is that we really need to wash our hands. You have no idea what you're coming into contact with or what the last person behind you that grabbed that door handle or that was holding onto that grocery cart, you have no idea what their hygiene is. And so let's talk a little bit about how do you actually desanitize, okay? So there are a lot of products out there that you can use. There's like the hand sanitizers. Everybody wants to use those. Those are toxic and they don't do crap for you, all right? So throw the hand sanitizers out and let's talk about what really works, all right? Before we get to what really works though, let me also mention this. We took these different swabs of these different bacteria that we had actually cultured from all these different areas, staph and strep and mono and all kinds of stuff that we found. And we actually put it and contaminated the countertop in the lab. And we circled everything so we knew what everything was. Like we contaminated this circle with staph, this circle with strep, this circle with whatever and whatever. And then we did that several times on different areas. And we took different cleaners. So we took like Clorox, we took Formula 409, we took like Mr. Clean, we took like Lysol, right? And then we did one where we took just plain soap and water. Just plain soap and water, nothing with any antibacterial properties in it. Can you guys guess what the results were on that? Let me tell you what the results were. The one that we were actually able to eliminate all of the germs from consistently over and over, it didn't matter what kind of germ that it was with elbow grease, soap and water. Elbow grease. It's the scrubbing. It's the friction that actually gets rid of the bacteria, the friction with the surfactant, right? And so, you can use all of these chemicals, but frankly, the chemicals are dangerous to you. They have very, very negative effects on your body. And those of you who have looked at your genetics with me, then if you're able, if you have even a harder time detoxing than the average person from these chemicals that are already toxic, even to a person who can detox properly. And so with that information, you can arm yourself and you can understand that, use some elbow grease. And so when it comes to cleaning your hands after you've gone grocery shopping, do you have to use chemicals on your hands or soap with antibacterials in them? Absolutely not. What you need is you need a surfactant. So even a simple soap like Dr. Brommer's or some of the different ones that you can buy that don't have chemicals in them, you use something that's a surfactant and you actually scrub your hands under the water. So you have to do a lot of the scrubbing motion. And then when you dry your hands, that actually adds more of a scrubbing motion to your hand. That is what actually gets rid of the germs. So let's start with the basics, right? You don't need to expose yourself, and you don't need to expose your children to the toxic chemicals, thinking that that's actually going to work for you. Do you have anything to add to that, Stacy?
I do. I recently read on, I think it was Dr. Mark Hyman's website. I get his newsletter about how, I'm not sure if that's who it was, it could have been Dr. McCullough, but how the wet wipes and the products like that, the antibacterial is actually not good for your gut microbiome.
That's absolutely true. Not only is it not good for your gut microbiome, but there are a lot of estrogenic and cancerous type effects that you can have, right? So you have, estrogenic effects, you have, you have a lot of inflammatory effects, and it absolutely does affect the microbiome. And you and I talk about that a lot whenever we do our talks every year, our series of talks of what types of things can affect the microbiome. One of the things are these, different chemicals. As a matter of fact, for those of you listening tonight, the household cleaners that we grew up using that we think were actually keeping our house so clean, those are actually causing so much toxicity in the air in our home that the EPA, which is surprising to me, right? Because it's a government agency, like you wouldn't expect them to even say anything or admit anything like this. But they have admitted that people's homes have have amongst the most toxic air that we can breathe here in the United States and around the world. We really need to get off of using our household cleaners. It's not protecting us from getting sick. It's actually allowing us to become more sick. It's depressing our immune system. It's ruining our gut biome. That's a great input that you had, Stacy, on that. So
thank you.
Yeah. So, as far as like household cleaners, what can you use? We can do a whole nother podcast on this, but we can use essential oils. And I have a friend who can totally blow your minds with essential oils. And we can bring him on. If you guys are interested, throw some messages in here tonight and let me know if you're interested in that. He can teach you hacks on essential oils for cleaning, for, when you're not feeling well, for calming gut issues, just different things like that, like little things that you can use like to help you with that. Essential oils are absolutely amazing. I'm a huge fan and a huge advocate of it. Why? Because it works and because there's science behind it. And I have a friend who can actually explain all of that to you. So if you guys are interested, please, please, please let me know. So I have someone asking, Michelle, what about scented candles? Are they toxic? Well,
that's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, especially during Christmas time when everybody wants to light candles.
Yeah. They actually can be super, super toxic. And that's something that you want to be very, very careful with. So traditional candles are going to be scented with chemicals instead of like essential oils that are safe to use, right? They are also going to use wicks that let off lead in the air and other heavy metals into the air. So you want to use organic candles that don't have any of those chemicals in them. That's a great question. Do you have anything to add to that, Stacy? What else do you know about that?
No, the only thing I would have to add is they are a little bit more expensive, but it's so worth it to know that you're putting something clean in your environment while creating a beautiful little ambiance, right? So it's worth it to pay a little bit more. And I used to buy traditional candles and now I don't.
I did too. I didn't know. And I used to have them burning all over the house. And I didn't know. But do you know what I always noticed was I would notice that there was a little bit of soot because I used to burn a lot of candles. And I would notice that when I would go and dust, especially anywhere in like a 5-foot proximity to the candles, I would notice a little bit of soot. And I didn't know that I was actually like inhaling some of the heavy metals that were in the wick. So yes, Michelle, beeswax is is really, really great. Um, there are wicks that you can use. You know, typically, if you're going to go through the cost of buying a beeswax candle, the wick is not going to have heavy metals in it. So do a little bit of research on your candles before you buy them, so that you can buy candles that are scented with essential oils, that are made with beeswax, or you know, there are, I think, even like they'll use, you know, different kinds of natural fats and different things that they'll make candle wax out of. And then to make sure that the wick is not that it's not laden with any type of heavy metal, so that when you're burning the wick, it's actually not putting that out into the air. So yeah, yeah, that's really great. Um, so let's jump into some of these hacks here. Thanks for some of the feedback, guys, about about your interest in the essential oils. I'm telling you that I've got somebody that I can bring on who actually has a waiting list that he travels around the country, and he teaches people about essential oil hacks. And you would be very, very lucky. I'm lucky that he actually said that he would come on and be on one of our podcasts or one of our webinars. So I would love to share that with you. All I need to know is that you guys have an interest in it, and we can totally have a lot of fun with that. So let's talk about these health hacks. Let's jump into that. We talked about basics of hand washing and that you do not need to use chemicals. All right. So we've moved past that. Now let's talk about what in the hell do you do whenever you actually get sick, right? Like, what are you going to do? Like, it's Friday night or it's whatever night it is during the week, and you're starting to feel like, oh my God, like something's not right. I can tell I'm getting sick. And you know that because why? It's happened to you many times in your life, and you know it before you actually get full-fledged sick. So first of all, don't doubt yourself. Listen to your intuition. Don't wait until you actually have that fever so you can prove it to yourself. You know when you're getting sick. We all do, because you start getting that brain fog, you just feel really off, and you have that first thought like, oh my God, I think I'm getting sick. Don't wait. Take action right away. And what you want to take action with are some antimicrobials, and vitamin D and vitamin A. And I'm gonna kind of go through the list, and I'm gonna talk to you about it. And I've actually put a kit together so that you can go ahead and buy the kit. And a couple of you that are on tonight just recently got a part of that kit. But the kit can vary a little bit. But I kind of put together one kit in particular for tonight, and it includes an antibacterial, and it's called Bactrex. It's by Systemic Formulas. It is awesome. Okay. We have an antiviral also by Systemic Formulas. And again, it's really, really awesome. As a matter of fact, you know, we have actually used it in acute viral infections, and we've seen amazing results with that. From shingles to, you know, people who really struggle with herpes, where they're getting, you know, like a blister on their lip or in the vaginal area, or, you know, the reproductive area, so to speak, because that can apply to guys too. And we can do a high dose of the VIVI if they're starting to get a breakout, and we can knock it down just like we can Valtrex. It works really well. And these are things that I've just used over the years, and I've actually seen it work. So I wouldn't be recommending it if I didn't actually see that it worked, right? I mean, I would never recommend something to you if I haven't seen it clinically that it actually does work. Vitamin D, let's talk about that. Most of you, when you met me and you started working with me, you were deficient in vitamin D to begin with. And you've heard me talk about how important it is to keep your vitamin D up. So the functional ranges for vitamin D need to be between 60 and 100. Okay. Now, as we go into the winter, I encourage you to up the D a little bit. So if you've been working with me for a while and we've rechecked your D levels and they're running around 60, 70, 80, great. You may consider adding an extra D 2 or 3 days a week as we go into the cold and flu season. Okay. So we can get the levels up to 80, 90, 100. I don't even care if they're 110. You're not going to have vitamin D toxicity from that. Okay. Our our cancer patients who see us, we actually take their vitamin D up very high therapeutically because it stops cancer cell reproduction. Vitamin D is incredible. It does so many things for your immune function. And we want to make sure that you keep your vitamin D levels up. Now, if you're not sure where your vitamin D level is and we haven't checked it recently, let's check it. Let's learn what your pattern is. Let's see what your pattern is of your vitamin D when you're taking 10,000 IU a day, right? And if you are staying around the 60 or 70 range, and you've been taking 10,000 units a day for a while, and we've retested that and we see your pattern, then we can make that assumption that if you add an extra one 2 or 3 days a week, that we're going to bump it up a little bit, right? So it takes time and testing to see what your patterns are, because what Stacy's pattern is with her vitamin D and what your pattern is are going to be different. How you uptake and utilize vitamin D is different. Everybody is different across the board. But whenever we get sick, one of the first things that we want to do is we want to up our vitamin D to around 50,000 units a day for about 3 days is what we want to do that for. We just want to bump that up. Now that's assuming that you already have healthy levels of vitamin D. Okay, so optimally like in the 80 range, right? And then if you start to get sick, you want to bump that up to 50,000 IU a day for about 3 days. And that is going to really arm your immune system in a huge, huge, huge way. And with your kids, if you've got kids, talk to me about it. We don't want to necessarily do that with them that high of a dose. It depends on their age and it depends on their weight. We kind of like want a little bit of history there, right? But you can up their vitamin D. So if you're regularly giving your child vitamin D, you could increase the dose by 3 without talking to me. You could probably increase the dose 3 times for about 3 days, right? So if you're giving them 1,000 IU a day, increase it to 3,000 IU a day. Now, if you're working with me, that level's probably going to be much different and even higher. But if you're not working with me with your kid, then, that would be safe to do on your own. But we want to increase the vitamin D. Just in case you have the VDR-TAC mutation in your gene, you want to make sure that you're combining the vitamin D with vitamin K. And that's what I pretty much have all of you guys on. I don't skimp there when it comes to that. I make sure that you do a D with K. So if you're doing it on your own, make sure that you're doing a D with K just to make sure, if you don't know if you have the VDR-TAC mutation, just to make sure that you're uptaking that properly. So we up the vitamin D for 3 days. Vitamin A, it is an incredible immune enhancer, all right? So we want to actually take vitamin A. So you may not be taking that throughout the year. So some of my post-cancer patients or patients who are immune compromised or people who we're working with who are having, current autoimmune issues, we may add vitamin A to their protocol for a while. After a while, we won't take it anymore, right? But if you feel like you're getting sick, you definitely want that in your arsenal, and I include that in my kit. And I will also include the actual protocol, like exactly what dose to take while you're sick for an adult-sized person, okay? And so with the vitamin A, I like to do 100,000 IU for 3 days. It's a lot, right? But I like to actually do that for 3 days, and then we'll taper off after that. And then the other thing.
Question on the screen that came
up.
up.
Question? What's the spelling for the gene for K? Okay, so it's not a gene for vitamin K. It's the gene for the vitamin D, and it's the VDR-TAC. It's the VDR-TAC gene. So you want to take a look at that gene and see if you have a single or double mutation, also called heterozygous or homozygous mutation on that gene. And if you do, you definitely want to make sure that you're taking a vitamin DK supplement, because vitamin D on its own, you're not going to be able to synthesize and utilize that very well. No, it's the VDR, not the BDR. It's VDR, the VDR-TAC gene. So we've talked about vitamin D and what you can do with the vitamin D. And we've talked about you're welcome, Karen, you're welcome. And we've talked about the vitamin A. These are little known hacks that a lot of people don't know about. Well, we want to take an increased mega dose for about 3 days, Okay, and again, I'll give you the protocol. Any of those of you who buy the kit, I'll throw that protocol in so that you'll know exactly what to do. And then we are including in the kit an antiviral and an antibacterial. And also we're including colloidal silver. So let's talk about the colloidal silver for just a little bit. Colloidal silver is awesome sauce. Like, that stuff works for all kinds of infections, whether it's fungal, viral, bacterial, combination. It even works well for, parasites, all kinds of different infections. I would call it the broad spectrum antibiotic. Okay, this stuff is amazing. Now, there's different ways that you can take it. We can take it orally, and it does work orally, and it depends on what's going on. Let's say that you have SIBO, or you have some sort of bacterial infection or viral infection or whatever that is in your gut, and you've been really sick for a long time. I'll definitely have you take it orally. Let's say that you've got an infection in your throat, like your throat's swollen and you're not feeling good. Definitely orally. Oh my gosh, that's going to be amazing for you. You gargle with it, you swallow it down, let it coat your throat and go down into your gut. But for other infections, if we really want to get it systemic, like if we want it to get all inside the body, then there's a little hack that we can do. And that's where we use the nebulizer. A nebulizer is what people use, like people who have asthma. They'll use those breathing treatments, those little machines that they plug in, and they put the medicine in the cup. Usually it's steroids or some other type of medication like that, and they'll put it in the cup, and they either use a little mouthpiece or they'll use a piece that goes over the nose as well. And this is absolutely amazing for knocking out infections that go systemic, whether it's bronchitis, pneumonia, the flu, UTIs. If you have a sinus infection, it's really good for that. Let's talk about sinus infection for a minute. How many of you have had sinus infections? And you ended up taking rounds and rounds and rounds of antibiotics. The reason why your doctors have to do that is because there's no blood flow in the sinus cavity, right? And anywhere where you don't have direct blood flow, the antibiotic is going to have a very difficult time reaching that area, right? And so therefore, usually one round of antibiotics does not get rid of the sinus infection. People end up having sinus infections for months and months and months, and have to end up taking antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic, and they have to take steroids too, and it just then that depresses the immune system, and it causes this whole cascade of problems. But when you use the nebulizer with the colloidal silver in the protocol that I will give you, okay, you're actually inhaling it, not just through the mouthpiece, but I like you to use the mask so that you're inhaling it and you're getting the colloidal silver right up into the sinuses, and it's knocking that infection out like that. Stacy has a great story. So I totally want Stacy to share with you what happened earlier this year. What was it, in January or something, when Sam got sick?
It was in the spring. Sam got, what you're talking about, to where he had just been congested for a long time, and that went into a cough. And then one night it was a fever and his head really hurt. So I was like, okay, that's all symptoms of sinus infection. And I took him to a little walk-in clinic, and he was diagnosed with sinus infection and bronchitis and was put on an antibiotic. Well, not only did the antibiotic not knock it out, but he also had an adverse reaction to the antibiotic. So there was, digestive distress. He did finish the antibiotic, but and his cough got a little bit better, and his fever went away, but he was still coughing. He was still congested. I was like, he's not getting better. So he came in to see you in June just to retest some things and go over the protocol. And you put him on the saline, the Nalmed sinus rinse or neti pot, and put a little, like 1 drop of tea tree oil within the saline mix. So he was doing that, and he was doing the nebulizer, and Sam liked to say that the tea tree oil in there, it was like, oh, spicy nose, but it worked. And so between the vitamin D and the sinus rinse and the nebulizer and also a little medical grade hydrogen peroxide with the colloidal silver that he was inhaling, within a week he was knocking it out. So
And how long?
that was great. I thought the only way to get rid of a sinus infection was antibiotic.
How long had he been struggling with that again before we
Probably
finally did that protocol?
a good month. It got better when we went to the beach, but then when we came back, it just wasn't going away.
Yeah. So there you have it. Like there's like a typical case, right? Where you end up getting sick and you just can't knock it out. It just keeps lingering and it keeps lingering and it keeps lingering. And Stacy was doing everything right. Like, you know, she knows not to give juice and crackers and toast when you're sick, right? Like that's another thing that we should hit on tonight, or like that's another basic, right? Besides the like using friction to wash your hands and just a simple surfactant. It's like we don't do what we learned from our parents or our grandparents about, oh, just drink orange juice for vitamin C, have some toast and crackers, like that's going to help. That's all sugar. It's feeding the infections. It totally feeds the infections. That's why you're sick for a month, right? But in Sam's case, you know, Stacy was feeding him properly and making sure that Sam was not being exposed to the sugars, but he was really having a hard time knocking it out. Sinus infections can be so complicated because, again, there's no direct blood flow. And so, yes, actually, that's a great question, Karen. We're going to talk about the neti pot. So that's another little hack that you can do. And so what we did with Sam, because he was having a sinus infection combined with a lung infection, that we needed to really just like throw out all the guns at it. So he was doing the nebulizer. He was using the nebulizer with the colloidal silver and a little bit of H2O2 in there, and he was inhaling that. So he was getting it systemic, which really just knocked out the bronchial infection, and it was starting to help to clear the sinuses. But we needed to just really flush out the sinuses. I mean, he had just nastiness in there that wasn't draining out. And the sinuses don't drain easy. They're like cavities in here that just sit here, so it can make it very difficult to drain, and therefore make it very difficult to get rid of infection. So we did a neti pot, which is a sinus flush, and we used a saline type water, but we also added just a drop, not a lot, because you will burn your sinuses.
Spiciness.
Yeah, so we added just a drop of the tea tree oil, and that helped to flush. And it may seem after your first flush that you have water still sitting in there, and so, but what you actually need to do is you just need to do more flushing. You need to do more flushing 2 or 3 times. It feels really gross. It feels horrible. It feels like it's sitting in there. You know, last year, my son, who's 26 years old, he ended up, or was it 2 years ago? He ended up getting some sinus crap going on, and I had him doing the neti pot with a tea tree oil, and he was doing handstands to try to get it to flush out because he said he could feel it like in his sinuses. It's so funny, but I don't necessarily recommend the handstands, but you just want to keep flushing. You want to keep flushing, and yes, Karen is asking, can you put colloidal silver in the neti pot? You absolutely can. You can add some colloidal silver into the neti pot. And unlike tea tree oil, where you have to be super careful how much to put in there, like just a drop, all right? Because otherwise it's gonna burn. Colloidal silver, you can go as crazy with that as you want. I mean, if you wanted to add like a whole teaspoon or tablespoon to the solution, you can totally do that. It's not gonna hurt you at all. Colloidal silver is absolutely amazing. We've even used it with clients who have had asthma issues that, you know, really what it was leaky gut causing inflammatory responses that was giving them these allergies, right? The allergies were all being caused from gut issues, really. But until we got the gut issues resolved, they were using colloidal silver. They were able to get off of the steroids and the harmful medications that they were having to use in the nebulizer to actually breathe. So
can I just chime in one more thing about that?
Yeah.
I also, when you are congested and you add dairy into your diet. Dairy clogs. So if you are getting, congested respiratory sinuses, you might want to consider backing off the cheese a little bit, backing off the dairy for a few days.
That's absolutely true. And thanks for mentioning that, because you guys know, all of you listening, like I don't allow you to have dairy. Like I really work at keeping you guys off of dairy. Dairy is just so inflammatory. It causes so much phlegm production in pretty much everyone. And when you're sick, the worst offenders that you can do are sugars, simple carbs, dairy, gluten. Those things are just gonna take you from bad to worse. It's like throwing gasoline on the fire. So we definitely want to avoid those things. If you lose your appetite while you're feeling sick, just, do some bone broth. Add a little bit of mineral salt, like sea salt, to your bone broth. And you'll get some amino acids that way. Like you'll get some protein and some nutrients through that. Do a little bit of, have some hot tea, add a little MCT oil to get some fatty acids, and have water. You do not have to eat when you're sick, and neither do your kids. So your body actually can heal faster if you allow yourself to fast. But what's so important though is that you make sure that you get your fluids in. You've got to get your fluids in the form of purified water. You can add some bone broth to that that's flavored. That's very easy to drink even when you're sick, right? A nice hot cup of bone broth flavored with a little bit of salt, maybe even a little bit of garlic in there, so it tastes like a chicken soup kind of a broth, right? You can do that, but let your body heal. If you allow your body to fast, if you're really not feeling hungry and you just allow yourself to go without eating, it's not going to hurt you, and it's not going to hurt your kids either. In fact, it's going to absolutely allow you to actually heal a lot faster. Just make sure that you get your fluids in. Does anybody have any questions? We've been on for about an hour now. We had like all these fun things to talk about. But I want to take some time for a few minutes before you guys jump off so that Stacy and I can answer some questions. Oh, so Larissa is asking if we can talk about the Epic Cleanse after all the sick talk. So absolutely. So for those of you who are listening tonight, every January we do a big detox. It is absolutely amazing. Some of you have actually been through the detox as a part of your protocol with me. If I put you through the standard process 28-day cleanse, that's what we do in January. And it's absolutely spectacular. We do it together. And I believe our next webinar is scheduled for January 5th. And we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to launch this. You will be getting an email about our early bird purchase special. So we always offer a little bit of a discount for those ordering early for the detox. It doesn't matter where you are in your program with me. If you're in the beginning, if you're at the end, if you just did it 2 months ago, you can totally do it again. You're going to get huge benefit out of it. Genetically, most of us need to detox more than once a year, genetically. And so a minimum of once a year for you to do this detox. It's a food-based detox from standard process. You are eating during the cleanse, but you're also doing a lot of shakes. And we have seen drops in cholesterol as much as 60 or 70 points in a month. We have been able to drop high estrogen levels. So people that are having high estrogen dominance, we can drop it like that. Instead of it taking 3 months, we can drop it in a month. High testosterone levels in women, we can drop that in a month. Inflammatory markers, we can drop it in a month. It's absolutely amazing. And it's filling your body full of super dense nutrition. And we're going to have a private Facebook page for those of us doing it. I think last year we probably had around 70 people doing the detox with us. We have several people who have done it with us year after year. And this year it's going to be even bigger. And, Greg and I, we look forward to doing it every year. We feel really, really good doing it. And a lot of people ask, like, am I going to lose weight? So let's talk about that for a second. It's not designed for weight loss. However, a lot of people do take off some weight, anywhere from 3 pounds to 15 pounds. Depends on where you are in your journey, right? If you're just starting with me and maybe we haven't done that detox with you yet, or you just finished a round of that detox with me literally and you've already lost 15 pounds, you'll probably lose another 10 or 15 pounds if you're at the beginning of the process. It depends on where you are. Weight loss is a whole nother ball game that we talk about. And I've been working with people with weight loss for many, many years. In fact, I was asked to be director of some weight loss programs many years ago, like probably like 7 years ago, because I'm very, very well versed in that area of health. And so we will be talking about that while we go through the detox, but it's not necessarily designed for weight loss. So just, watch your emails, stay in touch, make sure that you, that you check the emails from us so that when we launch our early bird special for the detox, you can get in on that and you can go ahead and buy it at the discounted rate. We discounted, I don't know, like $20 or $30, something like that. And so you definitely want to jump in on that. Does anybody have any other questions tonight? I'm going to put in the link so that you can buy your kit. It's modernholistichealth.com/winter. And I'm going to put this in here.
While you're doing that, I just wanted to mention something else that I think is really important in trying to stay healthy during the year, but especially during the winter time, and that is sleep. I'm one of these people that I know sleep's really important, but for some reason, come 10 o'clock, I want to watch something on Netflix. I don't know why. And then I'll like push and push and push. I'm like, no, I'm going to go to bed, and then just a little bit longer. And lately, over the last 2 months, I've really set intention to be aware that 10 o'clock's approaching. I want to be in bed around 10, asleep no later than 11. And I've gotten really serious about that because your body can't rejuvenate if you aren't sleeping. And I'm naturally waking up. It's been amazing. I've been waking up at like 6:30, right before my alarm goes off. So one of my teachers says, take the first train, catch the first train with your sleep. Don't wait until the second train comes or the third train. And so I've been making my sleep a big practice, a big priority. I can't emphasize that enough. Just rest.
Yeah, sleep is super important. As a matter of fact, I've been going through some advanced genetic training. Some of you know that I've been going through it. It's been like, oh my God, it's been like a huge mountain to climb. And some of the advanced genetics I've been doing, there's a lot of changes that are coming about year after year, month after month even, on what we understand about how the genetics are driving your biochemistry and what we can do to influence that. And sleep is huge. I mean, there's this huge module that I've been studying on sleep genetics. And, if your body isn't getting the rest that it needs, you are gonna age faster. Your telomeres on your genes are gonna shorten. Your telomeres on your DNA strands are gonna shorten. You're gonna age faster. You're gonna have faster cognitive decline as you age. It's going to affect your immune function. Your body cannot heal without proper sleep. And, as we get more into the genetic stuff, even deeper, as I dive deeper into this, I will be sharing it with you on podcasts this year and so on and so forth. I've got a quick question for you guys. Are you getting the messages that I'm responding to? Because this is my first webinar. And so I want to make sure that you guys are seeing the responses that I'm making to you. If you have seen what I have posted on the response in the chat box, can you give me a thumbs up? Maybe like let me know that you got like the link to the Winter Essentials kit, or that you've seen any of the responses. If any of you have asked a question and you didn't see the responses, please let me know so that I can go ahead and respond. I just switched to another screen. I think I was only responding to Stacy earlier. And now I'm in all the attendees now. So
I had my thumb up.
yeah, so if I miss something, please let me know. Hey, Barbara, it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining. Joe, thanks for joining. Michelle, Mila, Tori, everybody, thanks for joining. So excited. If anybody has any input, Barbara, can I talk about you for a second? Say something. I want to talk about you for a second. I got to brag on you. Say something, Barb. Anyways, Barbara, she's an amazing colleague of mine. We actually co-treat or co-work with our patients and our clients together. She is one of the most amazing women that I know. I send a lot of my women to her for their female wellness and a lot of other things actually. And we have collaborated many times together to work with our clients. And so Barbara might have stepped away from the computer for a few minutes, but if any of you guys have any questions about how Barbara can work with you, just let me know. I am more than happy, if I haven't already given you her contact information, that I can give you her contact information. She is who I see for my Well Women visits. Many of my clients see her for that. She also collaborates with me and works with me to help clients with, with fertility issues, even men with different hormone issues and different kinds of things like that. She is a wealth of information, and she's actually been in practice even longer than I have. And so thank you, Barbara, for coming on tonight. I appreciate that. So anyways, I think that's all we have for tonight. Let me see here. Have to click the drop down to get all the attendees. I think I did that. Michelle. I think I can see all the attendees now. So that's awesome. Thank you for helping me with that. I know this is going to be a whole learning process. It's better to learn with our small group of our tribe tonight. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Michelle. I will definitely be reaching out to you. She says she's a techie. I'm like, yes, I need you. I don't know what I would do without you guys. Anyways, thank you so much. I did send you the link, modernholistichealth.com/winter. Greg also resent that to you. If you guys want to go ahead and order your winter essentials kit, go ahead and do that. I have decided to make it all in liquid form so that if you have kids, you can go ahead and have it in liquid form. It's not going to be in capsule. And I'll go ahead and make sure for those of you who purchase the kit that I go ahead and I put a protocol together for you. If you have your child who ends up getting sick and needs to also use the protocol, contact me and I will put that in the protocol. Also, don't use the same doses for yourself as you would use for your kids. Sometimes we need to tweak things a little bit, and there's no difference even in the holistic realm. The kit is $235, and it's going to come with the colloidal silver, the nebulizer, the Bactrex, which is the antibacterial, the VIVI, which is the antiviral, the vitamin DK, and the vitamin A, all in liquid form. And if you don't need the nebulizer, it's $185. And even for the $235 price, we dropped the price down, and I'm giving you the nebulizer at cost, because the nebulizers typically run around $100 or so. So we're doing that at cost. And so if you want it, just go ahead and let us know. What I'm going to do is I'll check the emails tomorrow. And those of you who purchased the kit, we'll go ahead and we're going to order everything. And as soon as everything comes in, because I'm special ordering all this for you guys, as soon as everything comes in, we'll shoot you an email and letting you know that we're shipping it out to you. So hi, thank you. Thanks for coming. Yes, Karen, the kit does come with the nebulizer. And is there an expiration date in case you don't get sick for a year or two? Yes, so some of these things do have expiration on them. The colloidal silver does not. I'll double check on the VIVI. Some of these things will last for quite a long time, more than 2 years, but I will double check on that for you, and I'll get back to you guys and let you know about that. Some of the things do and some of the things don't. Like some homeopathics, they pretty much will last forever, and then some things that are herbals, you know, we just have to take a look at the expiration date on that. All right, thank you guys. Thanks. We
Thank
will
you.
talk with you soon, and stay tuned. We really want to bring you a lot of value this year, and we're learning how to use this technology, so we're going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff. You guys have a good night. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. How do I turn this off?
I think you, yeah.